Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Collider Games podcast. My name's Dennis Den. I'm here with
Josh Weyers, coming all the way from South Africa.
South Africa. I don't know how things are over there in South Africa, but things are shockingly even more crazy than they were a week ago. So, yeah. On top of the pandemic, which, by the way, is not over, even though some people act like it is not over. We have protests after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis due to the hands of police brutality. And it's spread not across just this nation, but across many, many different countries. And I live in Hollywood, so there's a lot of protests. Most of the people are peaceful protesters, but then you have people who are trying to take advantage of the situation and looting and destroying property. And I live in between two very large streets, Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard. And so the protests will come up and down. I know they looted like a few blocks away from here. So we have curfew now. So on top of lockdown, which a lot of people are not really abiding by, because I just went out yesterday and like me and two other people had masks, and like I saw like 30 people who didn't, like it's just
crazy,
funny.
Man.
It's just
like
funny
if you're going to protest, wear a mask at least,
Well, I think
if not for the sake of hiding your identity.
These weren't protesters, though. These weren't protesters. They were just regular people walking around. I actually seen a lot of protesters wear masks. No, these are regular people just walking around. That the favorite thing I saw on I think Twitter about this was people just decided that the pandemic was over, and so when they decided it was over, it was just over, and so people are acting like it's normal. Yeah,
and the cases are going up in America now, which is like drastically. I've taken a look.
Yeah, it is not going down, slowing down, or whatever. So, I mean, you have different areas where some parts are slowing down, but then other places still going up. So as a whole, we're still not out of the woods, nor are we declining in any significant way. I mean, even though I stand behind what's going on with the protests, it is also dangerous in the sense that it will spread the coronavirus, much like how the protests to reopen that were happening in Michigan and Wisconsin and some other places also were going to spread the coronavirus. But yeah, so interesting times, definitely, to say the least. What's going on over there?
For the most part, the weirdest thing happened. Some guy was trying to sue, not sue our government, but take our government to court with regards to abusing our civil rights. And there's definitely been some, what's the word I'm looking for, like privileges taken by our government during this time. Most of the lockdown regulations are there to keep us safe, but unfortunately there is like quite a lot of cases here in the South African government where during this lockdown, our government has decided that this is a perfect time for us to start passing a bunch of bills and making new laws without people being able to notice or even go and petition against it, etc. Which, as to say, we also had Black Lives Matter protests out here, which was good. They were very peaceful, though. As far as I could tell, there was no looting or anything. It is unfortunate because I do feel very passionate about the movement, and I would like to go and protest too. But where I live, if I had to protest where I live, people would think I'm trying to sell wood or something, because I live in such like an incredibly small community. Like there's like maybe a couple hundred people where I live. They wouldn't even know what the hell I was talking about, even if I tried, which is sad. So the most I could do is show my support online and call my friends. Mm-hmm. A lot of my friends are in LA protesting, and I just want to make sure that they're safe and stuff, And like you said, it's unfortunate because there are a lot of instigators. And I'm sure everyone's seen the videos online. There have been like some cops instigating looting. There have been like other white people instigating looting, and then just some people that just seem weird. Like I've seen a lot of videos of just like really weird people who are like instigating the violence, and it's like there must be a lot of ulterior motives involved in this. But I digress. Here in South Africa, things have been pretty much the same. We've been slowly easing out of our lockdown regulations. Mm-hmm. Our cases have been going up. They're still nowhere near as high as any like other country, but it's also because we're Africa. We don't get no one's really giving us any tests or testing
Hmm.
kits, so we're not really testing in high amounts. My area here has gotten, I think we've got 10 cases here, which considering how small the population is quite shocking. Nothing in my immediate vicinity. I think the nearest case towards me is about a 40-minute drive away. Um, but yeah, we had a guy who took the government to court. He won. He won the battle. So apparently, around the 17th of this month or 18th of this month, I think we're going to be going completely out of lockdown, which I don't think is the smartest idea.
No, doesn't
I
sound
think
like a
that
good idea.
no, it really isn't a good idea. I think that the regulations need to be changed 100% because it's putting a lot of here, especially here, it's putting a lot of people in the position of you're either gonna get corona and die or you're gonna starve and die because most people living out here live in squatter camps and
Hmm.
they live in sheds. Like they have to walk about 5 or 6 minutes to any source of fresh water. You know what I mean? They can't, like, if they need to use the toilet, they have to leave their house. They can't stay, like, if they need to do anything with regards to water, they need to leave their house, so they can't be in lockdown. People have been starving for weeks. Our government, like, we are getting our own money from the government, but it's so difficult to collect the money and actually
Hmm.
receive the money. And there was even a case, I think, a couple of weeks ago where some people were getting paid double and some people weren't getting paid at all because the system was like really ancient.
Hmm.
Like I went to the DMV before all this started, and I noticed that, well, so out here it's just the traffic department, and
Hmm.
they're still running on Windows 7. And I had to tell them, I was like, you, like, all my government, with regards to home affairs or traffic department, they're all running on Windows 7. And I was like, you can't even get these things serviced anymore. Like you can't, why, like, I don't know how they missed the free upgrade to Windows 10. I'm not too sure how that happened, but anyways, so things are quite ancient out here with regards to that. But for the most part, things are pretty mellow out here compared to out where you are. Things are definitely way more chaotic where you are. I think things are going to get
Yeah.
a lot more. We're getting into winter here, so things are going to get a lot more chaotic as we go into winter. Our infection rates are definitely going to go up, especially as we go out of lockdown. But like I said, the majority of our country, and it's going to hit South Africa hard because we have huge amounts of tuberculosis and AIDS. And if you have AIDS and you get the coronavirus, you will die, like 100%. Same with
Mhm.
TB, same with any kind of other respiratory illness. Um, but for now, like nothing, like I'm just bored out of my mind. There's nothing going on by me. Like I still haven't gotten my computer, so I haven't been able to get any
Oh, that
work done, any
sucks.
voice acting done. Dude, it's supposed to arrive tomorrow, supposedly.
Mm.
I found out, actually, I'm trying to get a case brought up against the company because I found out that they don't have stock. So they took my money without having stock
Ah.
of like, and it's not just me, it's like it's numerous other people. I've actually been in touch with, I think, 15 to 16 other people who are in the same
Mhm.
position, who have waited even longer than me. And these are people who need computers for homeschooling for their kids or
Mhm.
cameras to allow them to do business calls at home. So it's an unfortunate situation. I hope I get my computer soon because I miss voice acting, and I want to start making content again, you know. Miss that.
Yeah, I mean, over here, when you talk about the lockdown, like I'm not against easing up some restrictions. The problem is people here are taking a all or nothing approach. Like there's, give them an inch, they're taking a mile. It's like a lot of people are
Yeah,
just pretending that coronavirus doesn't exist anymore. Like I'm okay
which
with
is
okay, let
stupid, man. Oh,
yeah. It's like it's okay if like we ease up some restrictions and okay, people can go out and they let people go on the beach and whatnot, and people just aren't respecting the guidelines at all. So that's I think the thing that bothers me because it's all
yeah.
it's going to do is delay stuff more and more, and you have these people who think the coronavirus is a hoax and they point to all these different things. I know like they mentioned some people mentioned Sweden. Oh, Sweden didn't have uh, lockdown and they're fine. Well, they aren't fine. That's
They
that's
no,
not the
they
truth.
aren't.
They aren't fine. They actually have one of the highest per capita death rates in the entire world. Higher than the
People just
U.S.
aren't talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, higher than the U.S. and how much the U.S.
Most of our
bungled our
cases,
stuff.
our first cases here in South Africa were actually like some of the first, I think two of the first 10 people here in South Africa came from Sweden.
Yeah.
They actually got infected there and came here. from a ski trip or something. Like there's like every country that you think is doing fine probably isn't. They're just not in the mainstream news, you know?
Yeah, like a lot of people point to, oh, they didn't lock down. They're fine. They're fine. It's like, no, they are not. They are doing actually pretty bad. They their neighbors are doing fine because they locked down and they did not. And so, and the guy who actually, I think I forgot his name, but he was like one of the heads of the response, the health response over there, who actually came up with the non-lockdown plan, actually says he regrets it, and that not that he didn't admit like, oh, they need to go full lockdown, but he said that they messed up and that they should have gone somewhere in between, that it should have been in between what they did and what other people are doing for lockdown. So
real quick to bounce off that, I think that I remember going back, I know when we started lockdown, our lockdown regulations were a lot more strict than it was in America, and now we're easing out of it. But I think that it was actually a really good thing to have really strict regulations in the first place, because now everyone's in the headspace of like always wearing a mask, always making sure that they're keeping like socially distant from people. Monday, this week, Monday, we completely opened up our economy. So everyone's gone back to work except for restaurants and bars and things like that, and hair salons. But everything else has pretty much gone back to work if they're able to socially distance correctly. And we're getting we're still getting a lot of infections, but not more than what it was during lockdown. You know, people are safe because people were like a lot of people were like ruled by fear, but this fear is saving them at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So it's like a give and take thing. So I think it was good that we had these people, or at least people seem a bit more level-headed now, you know? I got to go fishing today because
nice.
I can leave my house now, Dennis. It was wonderful. Yeah.
All right. So
all right, let's get into the video.
Let's get into the games now that we've talked about it. Though all the stuff we are talking about is affecting games, because the first thing that got affected was the PS5 reveal event that was supposed to happen yesterday, that you and me had planned on doing this whole episode about and talking about. You know, there's possibly they were going to show off the unit, maybe not. They definitely were going to show off some games, see what kind of like new
33 games or something.
Yeah. But yeah, they got delayed because everything going on right now until I think the 12th, which is next Friday, I believe. So I guess we won't be able to talk about until next week. There's been a bunch of other delays. I think you sent me a few as well.
Yeah, there is. Oh man, look, like we said, the delays are for a good reason.
Yeah.
Fortnite Season 3 was delayed, and they also apologized with this delay because like we spoke about in the last podcast, they delayed it last week, so they've just delayed it again, and they apologized for that, but it's for a good reason. So yeah, Season 3 was delayed. The live event, the device, which I'm guessing is like them blowing up the map or something. I don't know what it's going to happen, but something's going to happen because Season 3 is most likely going to take place with a flood or a lot of water. There's been a lot of leaks. But yeah, Season 3 was delayed. The live event was delayed to Monday. I will be recording the event. I'll send you the footage if you want to put it up on the channel. Then yeah, the next season of Call of Duty Warzone, Modern Warfare, and the mobile was also completely delayed. GTA Online and Red Dead Redemption Online, they closed for an afternoon to show their support for Black Lives Matter. It's just loads and loads and loads of delays. Once again, these are all for fairly good reasons, and there's not much to say about it other than, you know, unless you're living under a rock, you understand why these games are being delayed right now, because they're all showing their support, saying now is not the time to be playing video games. Now is the time for action. And I agree with that. So take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because it's difficult to talk about these things without trying to offend someone. But I will say that for me, the silver lining to this is I have a slow internet connection, so I'm glad that I didn't have to do like 10 gigs worth of updates this week, you know? So that's my silver lining. I'm happy because like the last Warzone update, I think was like 30 gigs or something. It took me like, with the internet I have, it took me like a day and a half to download. So it's been nice to be able to play the games I have without having to update them with, so that's my silver lining to it. I'll bring this up. I'll actually read it out real quick. Call of Duty put out a statement. So I noticed this earlier today when I was playing Warzone with my friends. Like your loading screen in Warzone, every time you're about to jump into a game, they put up a screen that says Black Lives Matter.
Hmm.
And this is the statement. Our community is hurting. The systematic inequalities our community experiences are once again center stage. Call of Duty and Infinity Ward stand for equality and inclusion. We stand against the racism and injustice our black community endures. Until change happens and Black Lives Matter, we will never truly be a community we strive to be. And then press A to start underneath that.
Hmm.
Well, I thought that was really cool, and it's just nice that it's there at all points in time. And while I'm on that fact, while we're talking about the inclusion and people, video game companies standing up for this, I think it was a lot of game companies are coming forward now and pledging money towards Black Lives Matters. Most recently, Final Fantasy. Square Enix came forward and they pledged money, and people were saying like, why are gaming companies getting involved with politics? And to that rebuttal, it's like, have you ever played a Final Fantasy game? They're literally all about like screw the system, look after the planet. You know what I mean? It's like they've told these stories over and over again. Of course they're going to show their support. Um, then NBA 2K20 actually released Black Lives Matters T-shirts in the game, and like
Hmm.
sweatbands and things like that, as well as I Can't Breathe shirts, which that's like that's really cool. I can't believe that they actually did that. Really, really, really cool of them. Rather than doing like a delay or something, they were showing the support in a different way, which I quite like. But yeah, this it's the week of delays again. I remember we had a whole bunch of delays because of coronavirus, and now we've got a couple of delays because of this. Once again, though, this is for a good cause and for a good reason. And at the end of the day, it's only it's all these things are only really being delayed for like a week, so you can't be
Hmm.
salty about it. I mean, even GTA Online and Red Dead Online, it was one afternoon. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It wasn't a long time, and
Yeah, you
for
cannot play
me,
for one afternoon.
yeah, exactly. You cannot play for one like especially on Tuesday. I forgot what the name of forgive me. There's a specific name for what Tuesday was. Was it Blackout Tuesday or
It's
something? Or
Blackout Tuesday.
yeah. So like that was the day I think. So it was just like to show support. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, so the how I see this is that at the end of the day, like these delays are for good reasons, and also if you're looking for a silver lining, I'm sure Call of Duty and Fortnite, I'm sure they were ready I know Fortnite has had 2 or 3 delays now. I'm sure they were ready a while ago. So if anything, this is just giving all these companies more times to like polish and tweak the next seasons even more, you know? Um, or if anything, it's giving these studios the times to take like a break that they probably need, you know? So I think there's a lot of good in this. At the end of the day, it's just a week out of people's lives waiting for the next season. If you really can't wait, like if you really can't wait a week because of what's going on, then I don't know what to say for you, man. That's sad.
All right. So obviously, not a lot of big news coming out of the game industry for now. One of the things that happened was there's controversy over The Last of Us Part 2, a trailer that featured Ellie singing a cover of True Faith by New Order. But it's like a cover that's kind of a slowed down version that you've seen of, many different songs that get redone or recovered. But the controversial thing about this one is there's a music artist, her name is Lota Kestner, who says that that cover it gets complicated in very gray areas because it's not like Lota Kestner wrote the song. It's a New Order song. It's an old song. It's very
Yeah.
famous. She covered in 2011 on her album Stolen, but she's saying that she wrote original parts for it, in turn, including some sort of her acoustic stylings and her humming vocals that she says were copied in the Last of Us Part 2 version that's sung by Ashley Johnson. And she kind of called them out on social media. Now, this just gets into this one. If you listen to it, if you listen to both the songs, you'll say, okay, yeah, they do sound very similar. But at the same time, you'll be like, well, if you did do an acoustic style of this song, you probably would do some of the things that both of these songs have. So it's like, it definitely sounds like it, but you're not 100% sure if it was directly copied from that, or maybe it was just inspired. But then you go on top of that with the whole legality thing, where it's like it's not illegal because they got the
It's a
rights from
cover,
yes, they got the rights from the original, song creators and song owners, New Order. So yeah, it's tough. It's more of an ethical thing. I talked about this a long time ago when my the Fine Brothers, who I'm friends with, they did a series. Uh, I don't know if you remember the Lost figures. They did like a Lost parody using the Lost McFarlane
No, that
characters.
sounds amazing.
Okay.
I love the Fine Brothers. I like they do good content. Except for
Yes.
that one time where they tried to copyright the React word, and that was we're not going to get into that because I remember a lot of people being a part of like React
Yeah.
channels, and they got like this email from the Fine Brothers saying, "Hey, you can't do this anymore. We own the entire reacting idea." But they apologized for that. I remember.
Yeah, so they did that Lost thing, and then what happened was ABC ended up seeing the popularity of that series and decided to do it on their own. So ABC owns the copyright for Lost. So legally, they weren't quote unquote stealing anything because that's their own thing, but they took the idea from the Fine Brothers and just trying to piggyback on that. So legally, they didn't do anything bad. They just ethically, it was like you either, give a little credit or a little money or something, a little shout out saying that that's what they were inspired by. So that's kind of like, if that's the case here, I wish that had happened, but who knows what the true story is. And
Yeah.
have you listened to both versions?
I have not, but even if it was an exact copy, my opinion would probably be the same. It's a cover, and it's like I think what you said is the best point. If they had at least like attributed it and said put her name in in the credits or something, like special thanks to this person because we got some inspiration from it, then that's cool. But you can't own a cover, man. That's like going to a karaoke bar and being like, hey, he's singing that song like me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, that's kind of how that works. I would understand if New Order was upset, but like you said, they got licensing rights. They've been spoken to them about those kinds of things. I think so. I think it's a little petty, but at the same time, I don't know how harshly this lady's pursuing it. If she has a right to be upset, but like, there's no point in really pursuing
No,
it or
there's no,
anything
no,
like
no,
that.
no,
Yeah,
no.
like
She would lose.
it's unfortunate. Yeah, I
She
think
would
of
lose.
another case that is um, Stairway to Heaven, famous song. Everyone knows Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
The intro to Stairway to Heaven was pretty much stolen. And if you listen to the song that it was stolen from, it was a band that literally opened for Led Zeppelin for years. Like, now, I don't think Led Zeppelin stole the song, but like if they're playing that song every single time that, like right before Led Zeppelin comes on, they're gonna hear it eventually and then draw inspiration from it. You know what I mean? But if I had to play like the first 15 seconds of Stairway to Heaven and the first 15 seconds of the song, it sounds almost identical. But at the same time, I mean,
Well, that's
going
more of a
back to that
case.
real quick,
That's more of a case, though.
that's
I mean,
way
I
more.
haven't
Well,
listened to
I
it.
think they won the case actually. They
That
ended up
sounds
winning the
more.
case.
Yeah, that's
Well,
more legitimate.
the kids of the because everyone's old and dead, so the pettiness came from the fact that it was the kid. I agree that it was wrong, but the kids were the people who took them to court. Like they were like, "Hey, we want our mommy and daddy's royalty money." That's basically what that was.
Yeah.
But then again, it was also one of those things where it's only the intro. And my opinion, the beauty of Stairway to Heaven is the rest of the song, the lyrics, the vocals, that epic guitar solo. They didn't steal any of that. But yeah, it's regards to. I know this is a cover, and a parody are two different things, but I believe they have similar rights. You know what I mean? Maybe not in terms of the legalities and copyright issues, but is she like, I hate to say this, Dennis, but do you think there's maybe a slight amount of clout chasing here? I don't know who the hell Lotta is. I do now though, because we're talking about her because The Last of Us did a song similar to her. So I don't know, but
I mean, I don't know.
it's
I think I think she just probably just wants to get acknowledged and say like, I
yeah,
did it first, and it sounds like you
which
guys
is true.
copied
I
me,
think it's not
which
like it's
may or
gonna
may not
hurt
be the
the
case.
company. It's not like it's gonna hurt Naughty Dog to actually come forward and say we like to give her some acknowledgement. It's not gonna hurt anybody. So I think they should do it. At least if the news of this has reached anybody from Naughty Dog, which I'm sure it has, I'm sure they're gonna put out a statement or something, you know what I mean? Or if anything, like hell, they should actually ask her if they can use her cover in the song. You know, maybe put it like in the credits somewhere or something, and just a throw her like in the game. Maybe don't throw her in the game like Conan O'Brien in the Walking Simulator.
Death
Blanking
Stranding.
right now.
Death
Death
Stranding.
Stranding, yeah. Yeah, Walking
Um,
Simulator, right.
side
But
note.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
no, I was just gonna say that was about it. That was me ending my
Okay.
sentence.
Oh, I was gonna say. I finished. On a side note, I finished. Left Behind. The
Oh, nice.
DLC for The Last of Us, the first part, which yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And then secondly, on top of that, you know, me being, quote unquote a newbie, even though it took me 7 years to beat this game, to Last of Us, and looking into like obviously the not just the game and the music, but the voice acting was tremendous in it. And you have Troy Baker, who's obviously huge in the space, and then Ashley Johnson, which I didn't realize she's an actress that I'd seen before a long, long time ago when she was a child. She played Chrissy in Growing Pains, which for you probably don't remember that show because it was probably came out before you were born. But for me, I grew up watching that show. It's the one that Leonardo DiCaprio actually got his big break in.
Wait, what show?
It's called Growing Pains. It's like it's a
Oh
comedy.
yeah, I've heard about it. I feel like if I grew up in America, I probably would have seen reruns of it or something, you know?
Possibly. But anyways,
Yeah.
it's most famous for launching Leonardo DiCaprio's career. I mean, obviously Titanic was the thing that made him huge, but he actually got his kind of big break there. And he was on the last season, and Ashley Johnson played Chrissy, which was like this little kid. Like in shows, like a lot of times when like things are a little stale, they'll like add a new character, a new baby, or a new whatever. That was her
Yeah.
character. She got added in, and I forgot which season, like maybe the third season or whatever is the new character. But anyways, yeah, that was kind of trippy to realize. Okay, the girl who does the voice for Ellie is also this child actress.
You know what? Real quick before we change topic to the next game,
Mhm.
with regards to the legality around this, because like we said, the legality regarding this is murky because obviously they probably got the copyright permission from New Order. They
No,
probably
most
didn't
definitely.
speak to Lotte Kestner at all. But it's a thing of like, I mean, surely you can own. Like at first I was thinking, I don't think you can own the copyright to a cover. But then I thought of like some of the world's greatest, like Johnny Cash "Hurt." That's a
Hmm.
cover. I for years thought that was just Johnny Cash's version, but he
No,
covered that was a
that was
cover.
Nine
And
Inch
surely
Nails.
Johnny,
I know the original.
well, no, Nine Inch Nails covered it after Johnny Cash.
No,
The
no,
original was from like the
no. Original is Nine Inch Nails.
isn't the original from like the 40s or 50s from some other
Nope,
like way old band?
nope.
Really?
Yeah,
So Johnny Cash covered Nine Inch Nails.
yep.
That can't be right.
No, it's absolutely right because I was a big Nine Inch Nails fan, and
Yeah,
I like
I
that
love
song.
Nine Inch Nails.
So it was on the Downward Spiral album, and I remember hearing it, and I can't remember if it was the last song. Yeah, it's the last song on the track. And it's like, oh, this is a great way to end this album. And then Johnny Cash covered it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
wow, that's crazy.
but yeah, you can own your
But it,
cover in the sense of he
surely,
paid
yeah.
them and whatever. But if let's say someone else wants to do an acoustic slowed down version of Hurt, um, Johnny Cash, I mean, he's passed away, but his estate cannot sue someone else for doing it. However, if someone does do an acoustic version, slowed down version of Hurt, people will obviously know that it's like a rip off of Johnny Cash's version. So it's yeah, like I said, it's a difference between legality and morals and ethics and all that stuff. Legally, can't do
I'm
anything about
hold
it.
up. I just still need to come to terms with the fact that at some point in time Johnny Cash was listening to Nine Inch Nails. I just have to come to terms with that real quick. That's badass. I have a lot of respect for Johnny Cash. Love the guy, especially the his famous live show at the prisons.
Mhm.
Um, really epic stuff. But man, I just had to wrap my brain around that for a second. That's crazy. But yeah, so obviously you can, like you just said, you can own the copyright to a cover. So I don't. But the real question is if Lotta managed to get the copyright for that cover and got permission from New Order, you know?
Well, I'm sure she
But I
probably
guess that,
did.
yeah.
I mean, in
If it
order to
was on her
record,
album, she had to, yeah.
yeah, yeah. In order to record it, you have to get permission. But the thing is, when you get permission for doing a cover, you don't own the rights to the song. You just own the rights to your version of the song and
Yeah.
people playing that version of it, not inspiring. So if The Last of Us even were listened to that before and were inspired by it and did their own one, like I said, it's a very hard legally to be like, well, you copied someone else, especially if you get the permission from the original copyright holders, New Order, which they did. So,
And
it's
then
a very
also a possibility is that honestly could have been their own original take on the cover, you know? It's a slim possibility if you listen to the two songs, but it is a possibility, you know?
or
It's
subconscious
difficult.
sometimes.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes
yeah, I think
people
you're right.
hear or see
Subconsciously, you never
something.
know.
Yeah, like movies, right? Sometimes a lot of movies are similar to other movies, and maybe they got the inspiration by watching that movie a long, long time ago and just didn't remember where they got that inspiration from, you know?
Exactly. I look at TV shows and I guarantee you the majority of TV shows were like subliminally freaking influenced by Simpsons, you know? That's why
Yeah.
that's why everyone's doing like Simpsons episodes half the time. Um but yeah, let's move on here to
Kingdoms,
my favorite news of the week. Yeah.
Kingdoms
Very
of
happy about.
Amalur.
Yeah. Did you ever play this?
No, but I had it on my list of games I wanted to buy because it was on the 360 and it went on
Yeah.
sale. I actually knew about this game because I think it was like Kurt Schilling's, like, who's a very famous baseball player. It was from his company. Like, he created this video. He loved video games so much he created a video game company. Though he ended up going. I don't think he went bankrupt, but the company went bankrupt off of this game. They poured a ton of money. They worked with Todd McFarlane's company as well, I think, for some of the designs and what. It was a very like cult hit where not a lot of people bought it, but the people who did like raved about it and how awesome it was and whatnot. And to be honest, I think the name hurt it. So, like, Kingdoms of Amalur, the Reckoning, is like
Yeah.
it's just it's a mouthful there, you know? Like,
Honestly, it's a game I put off for like the longest time because I was like, this just doesn't look cool. And then I played it and it was honestly like one of my favorite RPGs ever. I loved all the DLC. I actually love the game so much that up. I'm sad I can't enjoy the remaster as well as anyone else because as soon as they announced the remaster, I remembered the entire story. Like I remembered every single thing about the game, even like the DLC stories. I remembered the combat system, everything, and I was like, "Shit!" It's like I replayed the game in my head. Um, yes, it's one of. I think this was EA's response to Skyrim at the time, if I recall. Like more or less, this was like they saw the popularity of Skyrim, so they did this. And this is also, in my opinion, this was one of the last games EA did before they started going down the drain. But I believe EA is not doing the remaster because the intellectual property was bought over about a
yes.
year ago, or was it this year? And the intellectual property has been for sale, I believe, since 2013. So for like the past 7 years, it's just been waiting for someone to kind of buy it up. To people thought that we were going to get a sequel or a continuation, and I would have loved a sequel. You know, like nothing to do with the original character, just set in that world. I enjoyed the world building. Some people didn't like the story, but I enjoyed this. I thoroughly enjoyed the story and the game mechanics, which I think they're going to be doing
Yeah.
some changes to the game mechanics, things like that. But man, like it's sad. Like I want to say, if you're listening to this and watching this, go and play Kingdoms of Amalur. But I guess at this point, wait until August. It's around the
Yeah.
corner, man. Just wait till
I think
August
that's
and get
what
the
I'm gonna
remaster.
do.
It's got all the DLC included in the remaster. All the DLCs are included in everything, so you get the full experience. And in my opinion, there was one DLC that I actually enjoyed more than the main campaign because it was so interesting. I think it had to do with giants and stuff. It was so cool.
Yeah, and like you said, they're gonna revamp the fighting system, obviously the graphics. Um, but yeah, also the game was kind of under controversy as well because like I mentioned, Kurt Schilling, he created this company called 38 Studios, and because of this game, they went bankrupt. But I think there was a lot of they borrowed $75 million from Rhode Island taxpayers to do it.
Oh,
I think he had
wow.
created the studio in the sense of trying to say, look, we're gonna make this company, it's gonna be huge, and then we're gonna employ all these people, and it's gonna be here in Rhode Island and whatever. And so now, Rhode Island, not now, but then Rhode Island ended up suing Kurt Schilling and the other executives for it. But yeah, the story is by R.A. Salvatore and also developed by Spawn creator Todd McFarlane, and the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion lead designed Ken Rolston.
Ken Rolston.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I'm interested in buying this, in getting this remaster.
Yeah. Now that I'm looking back, I guess, because I'm reading some of the stuff here, and I guess I guess the game did have some inconsistencies, but the game really does have a cult following. The few gamers I know that did play this game thoroughly enjoyed it, because more than anything, it was fun as well. It was fun. I had a lot of fun playing the game. It wasn't nearly as immersive as like Skyrim or like as captivating, but it was fun, man. I binged the game when I eventually played it on PC. I sat down and I didn't stop playing for like 2 or 3 days until I finished it. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. I guess do you want to talk about the Days of Play sale at the end?
Yes. Sure.
Let's talk about
talk about this. Talk about all the sales and stuff at the end.
Yeah. So I brought this one up because I know we love VR here on this channel. Someone recreated PT in Half-Life Alyx. I think you should. I can't, but I think you should bite the bullet here. You should take a bullet for us, and you should play the game, and you should definitely put it on the channel, because if I had a VR, I'd probably do it, even though I don't want to. But man, that's I know you didn't get to play it, but PT for me was the scariest 45 minutes of my life, dude, from a video game. At that point in time, especially just the very idea of it being in this constant loop of a hallway, and every time you're just going through the hallway, you go through the door, and it's this endless loop, and every now and then slight changes, and dude, it freaked the hell out of me. So if they nailed it, which for the most part, I mean, it seems pretty good. It seems really good. No,
I'm gonna have
to
at least check it out and see, because I played
horror in VR scares me.
There's a level in Half-Life Alyx that's like the freakiest thing I've ever played before. So I'm gonna at least try and start PT and see how that goes.
Yeah, I guess man, it's good. It's tricky though, because obviously with what were you playing Half-Life Alyx on? What VR system?
The Rift S, the Oculus Rift S.
Yes. So you're still tethered. Like, that's my issue, is I will do jump scares, bro. I will yank my PC off of its stand. I will literally single-handedly destroy whatever VR system I'm holding if I had to play this game. But yeah, so I thought that was worth mentioning. I think if anybody listening or watching this has a VR system and they've played Half-Life Alyx or anything like that, definitely check out this PT mod and let us know in the comment section what you think. The next thing I wanted to bring up real quick is just to get your kind of take on this. So there's not too much info. Well, I guess it's kind of plain and simple, but Destiny 2 is doing its own first live event in the game. Now, we've seen plenty of live events from Fortnite, and we've seen how successful they are. Do you think that we're going to see a lot of... Do you think from this point forward, games as a service is just going to have live events? Like, that's the way to go forward? Like, how else do you tell a story with games as a service for, like, multiplayer games, you know?
Yeah, not only that, I think it's just to bring something new and interesting that only these type of games can do. I mean, you can't do these type of events in a game like Red Dead Redemption, the campaign. I'm not talking about online. You could do it on the online version, but people who are playing those experiences, they didn't sign up for that. But if you're playing something online with multiple players and servers like a Destiny 2 or Fortnite or Apex Legends, then having something like that, I think is, especially if you don't do it all that often, right? You know what I mean? You got to still keep it special, because like if you're doing these like every single day, every single week, I think then it
It's too
loses
much.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you do
Like
like once a month,
once a season, or like even
yeah,
just once a season, which is
yeah,
usually like I think it's usually 10. Most people have their seasons like 10, 12 weeks long, you know.
yeah,
So doing it
one
once a
every
season, I
one
think, is worth
once a
it.
month or two,
Yeah.
that's fine. So,
Yeah, like yeah, I agree. Like yeah, once every 2 months would probably be better. Even I think even once a month is just too much.
mhm,
Like considering how many other like look, if you're playing any game as a service, if you're playing any type of MMO or any kind of battle royale or anything like that, chances are you're playing other like battle royales as well. Like you're not exclusively only playing Apex Legends or Fortnite or Warzone. You're probably chances are you're probably playing all three of them like I am, you know? You're not going to have time for a monthly event. But I do think it's cool, and I think that this is like progress. We're seeing gaming kind of go in this direction ever since Fortnite started telling a story throughout like its seasons, and I am excited for it because it's just opened up a whole new narrative of storytelling for developers to use, you know.
mhm,
And then just being like, there's nothing cooler than being involved in the live events as well, because they really like a lot of these games do a good job of making you feel involved in it, which I quite like. And it's also a good way to market your next season and your next DLCs and stuff
mhm,
you got coming out, you know.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay,
But I do think you
let's
got to make it like special, like uh,
mm.
and
It
interactive.
can't just be like, yeah, it can't just be whatever. Like not to shit on that Tenet event because the Tenet movie looks sick. It looks amazing. I can't wait to watch it. Love Christopher Nolan, but the event in Fortnite was like,
Yeah,
you know,
everyone's
you
fake
were just at
watching a
like
fake movie screen.
exactly. You're not like it's not an experience. So I don't know. Like I hope that like that was definitely like a cash grab. I think like Epic
Mhm.
Games was like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Pay us enough money, we'll do it. um, Let's see what else. All those delays. Oh yeah, this because you and I have been talking about Fantasy
Mhm.
Star 2 online for so long. Uh, apparently the Microsoft Store is just
Mhm.
so awful that the fans made their own custom launcher just to circumvent the Windows Store launcher. It doesn't really get rid of the majority of the glitches and problems in the game that
Mhm.
they're currently there's quite a lot of like problems with the game currently on PC. With this North America launch, there was a lot of issues. But like let's just talk for a second about that. Like not the actual launcher or the actual or fan or the game, but like just the fact that gamers have gotten to the point where they're like, you know what, we're just gonna have to fix it ourselves. You know, like for me, that's kind of crazy that gamers got to a point where they were like, oh god, we're just gonna have to fix this ourselves. You know, at some point in time, someone's gonna create some kind of freeware service that puts all your launchers into one place, which like someone's gonna join Steam and Epic Games and put them in its own app. Like someone's gonna do it. You know, if it's legal or not, who knows? But someone's gonna do it at some point just so you have everything all in one launcher or something. But yeah, I thought that was quite cool to bring up. I know you and I will probably hop into Fantasy Star Online too once these bugs have been worked out because I'm
Yeah,
looking
I was
forward to
gonna
it.
download it. I was like, oh, do I want to do it on my Xbox or my PC? I was like, this game probably is better for PC because the MMO probably needs a lot of different keystrokes and inventory systems. And so I was like, all right, let me download it for the PC. And then I went to the Microsoft Store and it had like really low ratings. I'm like, why does it have low ratings? Like a lot of people like this game. And it was all about the launcher and how it was like you could download it, but it wouldn't launch correctly, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, kind of want to wait
Yeah.
until things are a little cleared up on that front.
And then in other relative news, Sony was fined $2.4 million by the Australian court for misleading people about game refunds and how game refunds work. And I would imagine that this, in my opinion, I think this actually stems all the way back to No Man's Sky
Mm,
with regards to, because that was like the first ever catastrophe in terms of people having to do refunds legally, and a lot of governments and like government courts around the world were kind of pushing people like Steam, Sony, Xbox to issue these refunds. So I think this has been like a long time in the making. But yeah, so Australia, yeah, they signed $2.4 million. Yeah, here. I'm just gonna read this real quick. Between October 2017 and May 2019, Sony Europe's terms of service implied that users did not have consumer guarantee rights regarding the quality, functionality, completeness, accuracy, or performance of their purchased digital games. So this was all based off of an implication, but they ended up winning. Look, in the grand scheme of things, $2.4 million is nothing to Sony. That's what I think. I think $2.4 million is pretty. Like, if it was just like, because it's Sony, it's not just PlayStation. It's Sony. They have like, it's everything. They have so much other merchandise. I don't think that they were really affected that much by it. Here, according to the court, the Sony made 4 players in Australia think that they only had 14 days to return a digital game, and even then they could only get a refund if it was authorized by the game developer who made it. A 5th person, meanwhile, was apparently told by Sony Europe that their refund had to be in currency on the PlayStation Store, so like like your PlayStation Store credit, rather than getting the money back outright. So
yeah, no, you should always get what you pay. Like if you paid with some sort of credit, then okay, you get it in credit. But if you paid, cash,
if you paid
or
cash,
whatever,
get your cash back, man. Yeah, for sure.
That's how it should work. It
I
should
agree,
be credit for cash, that type of thing.
So I think this is a good thing with regards to, because look, like it's becoming less of a thing now because people are realizing that if you release an incomplete game, it is not going to look good for your company. It is not. You're going to see the reflection in your sales. So, but I do think it's good because even though most people have now stayed clear from that, I still think a lot of indie developers are going to be like releasing incomplete games on how it even gets onto some of these platforms. I'm not too sure, because surely at some point in time, before you put a game on your PlayStation Store or Xbox Store or Steam Store, you must play it or review it or at least look at it. You know what I mean? Well, I know Steam doesn't, because they had a freaking raping simulator on their front page for like a week once. So dude, I know, right? They literally, how Steam, Valve, how that entire company just like let that. But then again, I spoke about that. That's from their green light system. Steam has a green light system where you, as a developer, can put your own indie game or your own game on their green light system and see how well it does there. You can like play green light games and you can review it and things like that. So obviously, the only reason that managed to make it to Steam was because of people playing the game and downloading the game and giving it good reviews, which is disgusting. But I'm not too sure. But like I said, so I think this is a good thing in general. More power to the people rather than power to the companies. If I want a refund for a shitty game, I want my refund. You know what I mean? If I was lied to, I want a refund. That's the way it should be. Here's another little. This is more like video game gossip, I guess. Some Activision shareholders think Bobby Kotick makes too much money, which, like, I think most CEOs of video game companies make too much money.
No, cut out video games. Most CEOs make too much money.
I agree, yeah. And it's like, look, I have nothing good to say about Activision. I think that they single-handedly screwed over Blizzard, because Blizzard is now, it's not Blizzard, it's Acti-Blizzard pretty much. Activision and Blizzard have merged or whatever the hell they did. And ever since then, it's just been trash, absolute trash. But it's crazy for the shareholders to come out and be like, yo, he gets paid too much. But I guess if anybody is going to know, it's the shareholders, because they go to the annual shareholder meetings and things like that. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Will we see change in Activision? I'm not too sure. I love this. This is an actual statement from one of the shareholders. Excuse me for swearing. Why the fuck is this one dude making so much money? That's an actual statement taken from one of the shareholders. Yeah, that's great. He raked tens of millions of dollars a year. That's crazy, man. While regularly laying off employees. Like, that's insane. He gets $20 million in stock options every year for the last 4 years. That's crazy.
I mean, this sounds like a lot of CEOs.
It sounds like pretty much any CEO of any company. You're right. It's disgusting. Yeah. It's part of the reason why I think that we're in this situation right now with regarding protests. Like, the reason so many people are angry is because of the injustice against Black people, but also just the injustice in general right now between the haves and the have-nots, the rich and the poor. And it's like, why do billionaires exist? No one should be a billionaire. Like this is going to be a hot take opinion from me. Some people will agree with me, some people won't. I think it's okay to be a millionaire because most millionaires probably work really hard for their money. Most billionaires maybe worked hard once upon a time, but they're just sitting there at this point collecting money, not knowing how to spend it on charities. You know what I mean? It's if you're a billionaire, it's kind of difficult to defend why you get to keep all your money. You know what I mean? But yeah, that is shocking. So if anything, this is just pointing even more to the whole fact that like certain people in this world are getting way more money than what they deserve. Because I don't know how much work Bobby Kotick does at Activision. If the amount of quality coming out of Activision has told me anything, is that he probably doesn't do much work. So at least not worth tens of millions of dollars a year. You know. All right, but then I guess other than that, the only other thing to really talk about is the let's see here. I'm not too sure if this is so relevant. The people who made Warface, they have their own launcher called My.Games, and they're offering developers a 90% to 10% revenue split, which is better than any other launcher out there. I think that there's got to be a catch to it. Wait, here it is. Yeah, it's like it depends on how much money the game makes. I think the split can vary depending on how much the game makes. It's like I think you have to make more than 10 million or something. Or I'm not too sure. It's a very weird situation. I've never even heard of My.Games to bring that up in the first place. But yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is,
yeah.
yeah, in theory, 90% is great, but if you don't have the market share, it doesn't really help a lot. Just look at Epic Games. Epic Games gives 88%, I believe, and takes 12, and even they have hard times getting headway into beating Steam. I think 70%.
Yeah. I think I read that wrong, where it's like I think the more money you make and the more successful your game is on their launcher, the less percentage you get. Like I think 90% is just what you get, and once you've made more than 10 million, I think that's when it goes to 70-30, which is interesting. So next gen, as we know, next gen consoles, they're all going to have SSDs in them, which is great. And Epic Games have actually said that they had to pretty much rewrite part of their Unreal Engine to take into account the SSD that's going to be on the PS5 and the Xbox. And they said it's good for PC. Like the fact that the next gen consoles are an SSD, I think it'll mean porting games between is going to be a lot easier. I don't think we're going to see such like gaps between releases for PC releases and console releases. Well, there'll probably still be that gap for pirating reasons, but it's just another good reason. Look, having an SSD in your gaming console is a good thing no matter how you look at it. But now it's just nice to know that it's good for the overall industry as well. And in terms of making video games, like I think crossplay is going to be a lot easier and things like that. So that's always exciting to talk about. Yeah. And then I guess we got some sales going on we can talk about.
Yeah, well, the big sale is the PlayStation. I've already participated in this one because PlayStation 4, the Days of Play sale. If you go to Amazon, you can see all the sales they got. Let me read off some of them. No. I mean, there's a bunch for the PlayStation Plus subscription stuff.
Yeah. The 12-month code is the best deal for sure.
Yeah.
$42.
Hell yeah. $60 for the yearly subscription. But the ones of note that I saw were Days Gone is $20. Death Stranding is $30. Resident Evil 3 is $40. Now this is the one I bought personally. Is Marvel's Spider-Man Game of the Year edition for $20.
$20, dude. That
includes
is
the DLC.
Steal.
I think I'm gonna. I think I talked about this before. I finally got my Elgato, and I've set it up, but I'm still kind of working on my setup here with my PC and my consoles. So, but I think I'm gonna stream that game when I get it, just because I've never played, other than playing it for like a few minutes at E3. I never actually played it, so I think I do like a live stream when I go through the game.
I never actually got to play the DLC for Spider-Man, but I heard good things.
Yeah, well, I've never played the game.
I might pick up Medieval for $20. I mean, look, $30 is already pretty cheap. I mean, it's a remake. Remakes are usually going to cost you between 30 to $40. I've heard good things, but for $20, man, I might pick up Medieval. That was one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 1.
Nice. Blood and Truth, which is a VR game, which is actually a lot of fun. I've played it. It's like a good amount of it. I didn't finish it, but I played a good few hours of it, and it's a lot of fun. It's a shooter action game, and much in the vein of a Guy Ritchie film style.
Oh, sweet.
Last of Us remastered, only $10.
Perfect timing too, if you think about it. Really, with the game coming out. And then same, I think Until Dawn is also $10, which I thoroughly enjoyed Until Dawn. I wish that there was another like slasher type of game like that. I quite liked it. God of War, $10, great deal.
Which I bought as well. This is the one I wanted to buy, but it's sold out. The Uncharted, the Nathan Drake collection. Like,
oh yeah,
it's good. Not. They don't have it on Amazon right now.
I got that for free on PS Plus a while ago. Very, very good. Finally, actually, it's taken me forever, but I'm finally playing Uncharted 4, and it's fantastic. I can't believe it took me this long to get to it. Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition for $10, which is a game that I cannot hype up enough. I really want a sequel. Horizon Zero Dawn was sick. You played Horizon Zero Dawn, didn't you?
No, I did not.
Oh, dude. It is fun. It's a really good RPG game. The story, first of all, the story is phenomenal. It's set in like, I think 10,000 years from now or something, where pretty much like the majority of life out there, they're all robots, like all the animals and stuff, but humans are like in this caveman kind of like mentality, like where technology took over and we're like no longer technologically advanced or anything like that. I can't say more than that. But the game is, I think you'll like it. And for the most part, you're using a bow and arrow, and there's a lot of like strategy involved where like you have, because it's elemental arrows, and obviously each element will affect other things differently, and there's tripwires, and so it's a good action RPG with involving good tactical bow and arrow gameplay, which dude, it was a good game, very good game, highly recommended if you ever get the chance.
Okay, nice. I will take a look and see. What else here? That's all the ones of noteworthy for State of Play. You can get Assassin's Creed Valhalla for pre-order for $10 off. So for $50 instead of $60. It's funny because since we don't have like a real launch date, Amazon just says December 31st. We know it's going to be sometime this fall, but Amazon just says December 31st. So, if you want to
hold up, I typed this in wrong. There's a good. I just want to see what there's a free game. There's a good RTS game that's free. I just need to find what platform it's on. On GOG. Is that Guild of Gamers? Annihilation, Total Annihilation. It's a great RTS. It's a classic, and it's for free on Guild of Gamers. So if you like PC games, if you like RTS games, definitely pick that up for free. Try it out.
Nice. And then the Oculus Quest is back in stock. It's I mean, there's no sale, but it's hard to get
back in stock. I mean, didn't they sell out the first day when we announced it last week?
Yeah. I checked yesterday and they still had them. So I don't know. By the time we, post this, may or may not be in stock. But if you're looking for one, check it out. I got mine now. I'm like thinking like, how did I live without VR?
Yeah, dude, we cannot hype up the Oculus Quest enough on this channel. That's one thing I've known, and but the amount of times we've hyped this Oculus Quest out, you would think that we have some kind of deal with them. We don't. It's just worth it. It's just hands down worth it. Best VR experience you're going to get at that price, untethered. It's accessible to all ages. You know what I mean? It's worth it, man. I just wish it's unavailable in my country, unfortunately. But so I may have to. Well, I don't know. I'm planning on moving back to LA once immigration offices and borders open up again. So, not the end of the world for me. But man, I want a Quest so bad. I'm so jealous you have one.
Yeah, I mean the one thing too. I mean the one I already playing with the one at the office. I already knew it was great. But once they did the Oculus Link, and then now being able to use virtual desktop to stream VR games. So now I'm being able to play what are not, it's not 100% compatible, but some of the games that are on like Steam VR or Oculus Store that aren't for the Oculus Quest, you can stream them through virtual desktop. So it's like you have an
sick.
untethered experience. Now you can't
And
take it to go, obviously, because you're streaming off of your computer. But if you have a good Wi-Fi and a good computer,
you can go on,
yeah,
you can go untethered. Yeah, that's actually great.
I've been able to play Half-Life on Half-Life Alex untethered, which is
That's
amazing.
sick. That's
Look,
freaking awesome. Actually,
I mean, you're getting compressed video feed so it's obviously not going to look the same or look as crisp as like a tethered system, but it's still pretty good.
I mean, are you really thinking of the graphics when you got a whole bunch of face huggers coming towards you? You know, like are you really thinking about you're in the heat of the moment, buddy? You know, like combat's happening. I wouldn't even be worried about that. Like that's really cool though. I think that's worth mentioning. So that's awesome. Yeah, have you played anything cool on the VR lately? Besides Half-Life Alex?
I finished Red Matter on the Quest, which I think I mentioned last week, but
yeah, I know you're playing it. Yeah.
And then I bought and downloaded this game called Room VR. And at first, it's not the Room with Tommy Wiseau, not that Room.
Isn't it like a social platform or something like that?
No, it's a puzzle game. It's like
like an escape room.
Yeah, escape room style. It's
okay.
This one's particularly set in, I think, in the early 1900s in England, and you're just trying to solve a mystery, So I just started that one.
Do you ever play that? You ever play the poker game on the Oculus Quest?
Poker Stars?
Yeah, dude. Oof, that's addictive.
I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet.
The social aspect to it is just fantastic. Like, because you're actually sitting at a table with a bunch of other strangers playing Texas Hold'em, and everyone can talk to you can talk to people. How you can throw things at people and stuff, and it's actually, man, it's good. I made if you're using the Office account, I actually think I made a lot of money on the Office account. One day I just sat down in VR in the office, and I was just playing Texas Hold'em for hours. I was like, I'm making this money, man. Let's go.
But yeah, and I've been playing Alan Wake, which is a game, one of my favorite games that, it's more of a cult classic. It's from Remedy Games that did Max Payne. They also did Control last year, which was my favorite game of last year.
Wasn't Control set in the same world as Alan Wake, or like they confirmed that it was?
Yes, possibly. There's another DLC that's coming out for Control. The first one already came out that was free, but they're coming out with another one that, so by the way the art looks, it looks like it's connected to Alan Wake, and I don't know. Both games have a similar feel, even though one is more like a supernatural thriller, Alan Wake, and then Control feels like more of a sci-fi superhero type of game.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But I've been playing that on the PC. I mean, I originally played it on the Xbox 360, and I bought it. What's funny now is, like, with PC games, one benefit is that the graphics can keep getting better and better. So at this point, even though the game is pretty old, the graphics have surpassed the cutscenes. You remember how cutscenes were like, they used to like pre-render cutscenes?
Yeah, I've actually experienced this before. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've experienced this with other PC games. It's so weird.
So now
the
actual in-game stuff is better than the cutscenes, because the cutscenes are all compressed and whatever. They don't look that great. But then you look at the in-game graphics, and they look fantastic. Not fantastic, but like a lot better than what they used to look like, because they just keep, with all the, texture, shading, and lighting. I mean, obviously the player models is the one thing that new technology doesn't benefit from, but
shaders makes a huge difference, man. Shaders and textures makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so that's funny thing about it. So that's what I've been playing lately, and like I said, I finished The Last of Us Left Behind, getting ready for Last of Us Part 2. I'm getting that Spider-Man probably. I mean, I just ordered it yesterday, so I probably won't get it until early next week, but I'll be streaming that
Yeah.
live.
Have you played it before, by the way?
No, just a demo at E3,
Dude, it's so satisfying to just swing through New York, put on some like really upbeat music and just swing for
Yeah.
days, man. That's what I'd be doing right now. What I've been playing though is I've been playing a lot of Warzone. I haven't been playing any Fortnite because I've done everything in the game at this point. There's nothing else to do. I just keep leveling up. But yeah, so mainly been playing a lot of Warzone. Still a lot of Minecraft, like I said, because it's just peaceful. And then I got there's a game called Slime Rancher. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
It's I think their slogan or like their motto is it's the happiest game in the world, and it's just a farming simulator, but you're farming slimes, and it's super adorable, and it's just fun. And I like there's not really much point to the game, and I've been playing a lot of Slime Rancher. It's been great. But what else have I been? There was something else I was playing a lot recently too. Like I said, got back into Uncharted 4, which never played when it came out. Uncharted 4 is amazing. I love that. It's like a movie game kind of thing. It's so sick. And then I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy games just to get that that JRPG itch because I love JRPGs. So I've been playing a lot of like the old turn-based Final Fantasy games and stuff. It's been cool. But yeah, no, for the most part, I've been watching a lot of anime. If anybody watching this or is listening likes anime, the only thing that's good out this season, in my opinion, is Tower of God. I read the crap out of it. It's a webtoon. If you highly recommend that. It's a bit slow, but trust me, where it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be nonstop action one day. So yeah, highly recommend Tower of God if anybody's watching. And then I've just been binging Community for like the 5th time because I love Community.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one note. One of our viewers, Blade. He had sent me a bunch of news articles on our Discord. By the way, you can find the Collider Games Discord, where we chat about all different types of games. He sent me a few things. EA and NFL extend their exclusive partnership for Madden games until 2026. Not a big surprise. I mean, EA and Madden, the series was, the only time they ever really had a rival was when NFL 2K was around. But
Yeah.
once they bought out that license, it just completely destroyed 2K games in terms of football. I mean, they actually are the leading one in terms of basketball.
Oh yeah, for football. Yeah. The 2K's got the best basketball by far.
Yeah.
I still think that EA could have a comeback with their basketball if they brought back the Street series, like NBA Street. If they brought that back or like either remastered it, I think that they could probably do some good.
Yeah. Another one he sent in was this Take-Two Interactive cancels contract with indie developer and then poaches entire team. So
I was gonna mention that. That was crazy for me. Like that was low key. What was the
Star
what
Theory
was the studio?
Games.
Yeah,
Star Theory Games.
What game was it that they made recently? Oh, I forgot what it was, but I saw that as well. Oh man, I should have sent that. How petty though, right? Like, I mean, is it petty or is that just as business as usual and we're just hearing about it for the first time? Well, look, poaching people is not new. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna offer them better hours and better pay, then they're gonna take it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I love that. They're like, you know what? We're not gonna buy the studio. We're just gonna poach all your employees.
Well, first
it's cheaper.
we'll cancel what
Yeah, we'll cancel all the deals we had with you, cancel the
Yeah.
game we were making or whatever it
And
was that
they
was
just-
happening. And they
yeah.
said, I mean, I guess it is cheaper than buying a whole freaking company. You're just like, now we're just gonna poach your best guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cutthroat because it's like one of those things because they were offered amount which they turned down, and then since they turned it down, they canceled. Yeah, it's gonna get that murky gray area here. So, all right. I think that's it for me. Anything else from you?
No, that's about it, man.
All right.
It's unfortunately not too much news this week. We did do a lot of talking, which is good, but I think unless there's more delays, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week. That's for sure.
Or where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram at josh.toki, and you guys can find me on Twitch at josh_toki. Still waiting on my PC to start streaming, but like, don't even get me started, man. I was on the phone today. I started yelling today because I was so upset. Just for if anybody has been caring about this situation at all, which is rare, but apparently they took my money, which is about $3,000 in total. I spent about $3,000 getting the PC and getting a new mechanical keyboard and all those things, and they took my money without even having stock. So, and there's a lot of legality regarding that's questionable. But anyways, how can you take people's money without having the stock that they need?
Yeah,
so
even when you pre-order stuff, they can't take the money until they ship it.
Correctly, yeah. So it's such a frustrating thing. Supposedly, I'll be getting the PC itself tomorrow because they said that they actually had the PC a while ago, but they can't ship it until they have the full package. I said, screw it, put my order into separate orders and order it as it comes in. You know what I mean? I don't have time. I'll make a plan. I'll use a really piece of crap keyboard and mouse for now. Yeah. All that matters is the actual freaking PC. You know, that's all that matters to me. Because I miss voice acting for the most part.
All right, cool. You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games. Subscribe to our Collider Factory podcast feed where you find this every single week. Check out our Discord channel. Look for that. And we've been streaming a lot more live stuff, and we're going to stream even more so now that I finally got this Elgato, and I'm, trying to, I bought this bookshelf over here so I can shoot some videos. I just need to set everything up, but hopefully that will be done soon. So for myself and Josh, thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you for your support, guys.